It didn't start with a scream. It started with a sound far more terrifying in the silence of that massive, empty Montecito mansion, the slam of a heavy stack of papers against polished oak. That noise was the first shot fired in a war that had been brewing in the shadows for years. For Prince Harry, standing there with his chest heaving and his hands shaking, this wasn't just a marital spat. It wasn't just another argument about the press or the paparazzi. This was a resignation. He was resigning from a marriage he had just realized was the most sophisticated, high-stakes con of his entire life. The woman standing across from him, looking at him with eyes that held zero fear and zero regret, wasn't the damsel in distress he believed he had rescued from the big, bad royal family. According to the evidence spread out on that table, she was the mastermind, and he was just the asset. But what Harry didn't know in that moment was that he wasn't the one holding the gun. He was about to discover that while he had been playing checkers, she had been playing three-dimensional chess since the day they met. And the move she was about to make would leave the entire world in shock. The unraveling of the Montecito fairy tale began quietly, as most modern catastrophes do. It was the evening of December 17th, a date that historians of the royal family may one day mark as the beginning of the end. Prince Harry was sitting alone in his study, the glow of his laptop the only light in the room. His phone buzzed. It was a message from an old friend, someone from his former life, a Hollywood contact he hadn't spoken to in years. The subject line was blank, but the message itself was chillingly direct. "Harry, you need to see this before it gets scrubbed." Attached was a link. It wasn't a tabloid article or a news report. It was a gateway into a digital underworld he didn't even know existed. The link led to an archive of scrubbed internet forums, blind items, and threads titled Soho House Secrets. Normally, Harry would have dismissed it as noise. He had been trained to ignore the haters. But the caption beneath the link stopped him cold. "Your wife's history is being dredged up, and it's not what you think." For the next 4 hours, the Duke of Sussex plunged down a rabbit hole that shattered his reality. This wasn't just gossip. It was a timeline, a detailed, receipt-filled chronology that painted a picture of a woman named Meghan Markle who hadn't stumbled into royalty by accident. What he was reading described a project, a meticulously managed rise to power, supported by a mysterious network of elites. The narrative suggested their chance meeting in London was about as spontaneous as a space shuttle launch. And as he read, the sickness in his stomach grew. He wasn't the savior. He was the target. To understand why this information broke him, you have to understand the environment that produced it. The files Harry devoured centered on one specific location, Soho House. To the outside world, it's just a luxury members club for creatives. But insiders know it as the golden junction of new money and old secrets, a transactional marketplace where careers are bought and silence is sold. At the center of this web, the documents pointed to one man, Marcus Anderson, the global membership director, a figure insiders described as a master fixer. The files alleged that Meghan Markle had been gifted a membership far beyond her financial means as a basic cable actress. Why? Because she was an investment. The threads detailed how she was positioned at specific parties, introduced to specific oligarchs and tycoons, moving up the ladder one rung at a time. Suddenly, memories that Prince Harry had once cherished began to warp in his mind. He looked back at their wedding guest list, a point of contention with his own family. He remembered scanning the pews and seeing rows of celebrities he barely knew, George Clooney, Oprah, and elites from the entertainment world. At the time, he believed they were there to support their love. Now, through the lens of the Soho House connection, he saw something far darker. They weren't guests. They were networking. His wedding hadn't been a ceremony. It had been a corporate merger. The most damning piece of the puzzle was a recovered transcript from a deleted blog post. In it, a user identified as Meghan Markle allegedly discussed how marrying into royalty was the ultimate career move, a calculated step to obtain global prestige that acting could never provide. Whether the post was real or fake didn't matter in that moment. It aligned perfectly with the cold reality he was now living. The isolation from his family. The constant camera crews. The branding. It had all been a script, and he had been the only actor on stage who didn't know his lines. Prince Harry didn't sleep that night. Instead, he did something reckless. He printed everything out. Every accusation, every timeline, every photo of her on yachts with men whose reputations were now in the gutter. He needed it to be physical. He needed to hold the betrayal in his hands. He found her in the living room the next morning. The California sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the perfect beige aesthetic of their home. He didn't say a word. He walked to the coffee table and threw the dossier down. The slap of paper echoed like a gunshot. "I'm done," he said. His voice was unrecognizable, stripped of all warmth, all affection. "I can't live with a fraud. I want out." He expected tears. He expected her to collapse to the floor, to beg, to play the victim as she had done so many times before the cameras. He was ready for the emotional manipulation. He wasn't ready for the truth. Meghan Markle didn't cry. She didn't even look shocked. She picked up the top sheet, glanced at it with bored indifference, and let out a short, dry chuckle. The mask didn't just slip. She ripped it off. "Are you serious, Harry?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. "You're going to throw a tantrum over some conspiracy theories on Reddit? You're jealous because I had a life before you. Grow up." "It's not jealousy," Harry snapped, his anger rising. "It's deception. You curated every moment of our lives. You hunted me." That's when the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Meghan Markle stood up, and for the first time, Harry saw the adversary he was truly up against. She slammed her hand on the table, making the papers jump. "You have the audacity," she said coldly, "to talk to me about deception. You think you can just divorce me and walk away," she hissed. "If you try to bring me down, Harry, I will bury you. I know where the bodies are buried, and I have the shovel." To emphasize her point, she swiped a laptop off the table, sending it crashing to the floor. The violence of the act was shocking, but her face remained icy calm. This wasn't a fight to save a marriage. This was a declaration of war. Prince Harry stood frozen. He realized, too late, that he had brought a knife to a nuclear gunfight. Meghan Markle wasn't just defending herself. She was launching a counteroffensive she had likely planned years ago as an insurance policy. She didn't retreat to cry. She pulled out her phone. "You think you're the only one with receipts?" she whispered. Within seconds, Harry's phone buzzed. It was a screenshot of a text conversation from his own phone, one he believed he had deleted years earlier. It was from a dark period in their marriage, a time when he had felt suffocated and reached out to a former flame, a Hollywood actress who had always had a soft spot for him. The messages weren't explicitly physical, but they were emotionally damning. "I can't bear watching you live like this. Leave her," the actress had written. And Harry's response, it wasn't a defense of his wife. "Don't text me here. I'll contact you from the other number. I might need a few days away." It was vague. It was weak. But in the court of public opinion, it was lethal. It painted him not as a devoted husband, but as a man hedging his bets, looking for a way out, possibly even cheating. "I've already drafted the email," Meghan Markle said, her voice smooth and terrifying. "I haven't sent it to the press yet, but I did send it to a few of our mutual friends, just to get their perspective." Harry felt the blood drain from his face. She hadn't just kept the evidence. She had weaponized it. "You wouldn't," he stammered. "Watch me," she replied. "You want to play the hero? I'll make sure the world sees you as the adulterer who abandoned his traumatized wife." Isolation. The poisoned well. The speed at which his world collapsed was breathtaking. Meghan Markle didn't wait for legal proceedings. She began the process of social amputation immediately. Before Prince Harry could even leave the room, his phone began to light up, but it wasn't support. A message came in from a business associate. "Harry, we need to postpone the meeting next week. Some concerning things have come up." Then a missed call from a mutual friend who had always taken Prince Harry's side, now sent straight to voicemail. When he tried to call back, he understood. The well had already been poisoned. In the time it took Harry to read those Reddit threads, she had likely been making calls, planting seeds of doubt, spinning a narrative that he was having a mental breakdown, that he was paranoid, that he was becoming dangerous. It was a classic technique in high-stakes divorces and corporate takeovers. Isolate the target, cut off their supply lines. Harry realized with horror that he had no one left to call. His family in London was thousands of miles away, and a burned bridge. His friends in California weren't really his friends at all. They were hers. He was alone on an island, and the tide was rising fast. If the personal attacks were brutal, the professional dismantling was surgical. Over the next few days, Harry noticed a shift in the atmosphere at their shared foundation, Archwell. There was no formal firing, no memo. It was far subtler and far more effective. He would log into his email only to discover he'd been accidentally left off major decision-making threads. When he tried to access shared drives to review financial reports, he found his administrative privileges had been revoked. A glitch, the assistant said, refusing to meet his eyes. A few days later, Harry confronted Meghan Markle in her office. She was typing away, looking every bit the CEO. "I'm being pushed out," he said. "This is my foundation too. My name is on the door." She didn't even stop typing. "We need stability, Harry. And right now, you're volatile. The board agrees it's best if I handle the day-to-day operations until you get your head straight." "The board?" Harry laughed bitterly. "We are the board." "Exactly," she said, finally looking up. "And the majority vote says you're a liability." It was a masterclass in gaslighting. She was using his own openness about mental health against him. Every time he had spoken publicly about his trauma, his anxiety, his therapy, those moments were now being twisted into evidence of incompetence. Vulnerability, reframed as weakness. Honesty, repackaged as instability. He was being reduced to a silent partner in his own life, a figurehead to be rolled out for photos, but barred from the boardroom. But Prince Harry, for all his faults, was a soldier. He had served 2 tours in Afghanistan. He wasn't going to roll over that easily. Quietly, he began consulting lawyers, using burner phones. He was preparing to fight for his share, for the truth. That's when Meghan Markle pressed the nuclear button. She went after the only thing that mattered more to Harry than his reputation, his children. The courier arrived late at night with a legal packet. Inside was a draft psychiatric report commissioned by Meghan Markle's legal team. It was a work of fiction, but it was written in the cold, clinical language of the court system. The report claimed that the children, Archie and Lilibet, were showing signs of severe psychological stress and fear within the home environment. It didn't accuse Harry of hitting them. That would have been too easy to disprove. Instead, it relied on insidious phrasing, references to his unpredictable moods, paranoid episodes, and an alleged failure to provide a psychologically safe space. The conclusion was devastating. For the safety of the children, full custody should remain with the mother, with only supervised visits for the father. Harry read the lies, shaking with rage. Then his phone pinged. A notification from Instagram. Meghan Markle had posted a video. It was low quality and grainy, filmed in the dark, carefully calculated to look spontaneous and raw. She appeared makeup-free, exhausted, terrified. She didn't say much. She simply whispered, "Please just pray for us. We just want to be safe." She never mentioned Prince Harry's name. She didn't need to. The comment section was already ablaze. "Save Meghan. Harry has finally snapped. Get those kids away from him." She had convicted him in the court of public opinion without ever making a formal accusation. She was using his children as human shields and his reputation as collateral damage.